like to call to order the Town of New Windsor's Town Council meeting for July 1st, 2020. If everyone would stand, rise, and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the
and
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our meetings are recorded through Zoom. We go by an agenda. Anyone wishing to have something placed on the agenda for council review and discussion should have had it to the town hall by the previous Wednesday of the month for review by 3 o'clock. Anyone wishing to say something tonight will use the chat feature. Approval of minutes from the June 3rd, 2020 Town Council meeting. They have been emailed with corrections, I believe. Do I hear a motion for approval of the June 3rd, 2020 Town Council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Schultz, second by Councilman Smith to approve the minutes of the June 3rd, 2020 Town Council meeting. All those in favor, signifying by raising your hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, it's unanimous. Just for record, all 5 council members are present tonight. Those opposed, so carried. By a vote of 5-0. Mayor's report. There we are. We had quite a busy month with meetings. We tried to meet on June 8th with Gary, myself, and Mike and Michelle to discuss the finalization of the EMC contract at College Avenue and Blue Ridge. Gary will talk a little bit more about that. The coronavirus relief funds grant meeting, I think we've already received, Donna can probably talk about that, but we've received just about $5,000 for equipment and supplies. Coordinated with Flood Zone for Perry Jones celebration, which was last night. Perry was sworn in yesterday as president of the Maryland Municipal League. For those that are not familiar with the Maryland Municipal League, we usually use MML for it. They represent and advocate for all 157 municipalities in the state of Maryland. And we are fortunate enough to have a Carroll County mayor representing us this year. So instead of being in Ocean City this past few days for a celebration, I decided to see whether or not we could get a little celebration up in Union Bridge. And Flood Zone was more than happy to open up for us and had a nice evening last night. So I want to thank those that attended last night. Received service call records for the past year from the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. Master Deputy Brian can talk about that in a little bit. Community blood drive on June 18th through the Lions Club. With the coronavirus, people have been coming out in droves, and we had all of our slots filled up. That's the first time pre-blood drive where we've had it all filled up. We had a wastewater treatment plant meeting with Bryce Foxwell. We'll talk more about that at the work session. Bryce is going to be present at the work session, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Coordinating with Town Manager Dye and State Highway Administration for the Maryland 31 Water Main Improvements Project. That, because of the coronavirus, has been basically delayed for meetings, and we're going to get that up in about 2 weeks, have another meeting. Presented checks to the winners of the summer sidewalk coloring contest. The kids that received the checks were extremely happy. They were not willing to take their parents out to dinner, but they were going to spend it on their own. So I was real pleased with that. Hopefully next time we do something like that, we get a little bit bigger turnout, but the kids have really enjoyed it. Zoom meeting with mayors. We've kind of slacked off a little bit because of meetings in our own town halls and towns, but we probably will continue that. It's been very helpful through the coronavirus, but also on other issues. And signed agreements as Maryland chapter, or MML chapter president for Carroll County, signed agreements for the 4 municipal program open space projects that we get every other year. This was not our year, unfortunately, but we will apply for it next year. So that is my report. Anybody have any questions, comments? If not, community enhancement, Councilman Green.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor, council members, and residents. Just wanted to speak on a few things. Earlier, well, actually late last week, early this week, I had started discussion with Kalina about restarting the banner project that's been on hold due to COVID-19. We had one banner that we were looking at to replace some of the existing ones. We're still looking at that one, but I have also decided under the mayor's suggestion to look at seasonal banners. So I started looking around to other municipalities within the state of Maryland and what they do. So for us, generally what we have is summertime, we use our veteran banners. Winter months, we hang reefs up. And the one that was missing the most, I thought, was a fall banner. So I sent over some ideas to Kalina to send over to our sign maker to print up some ideas for that. So hopefully we'll have a banner for fall to go along with our standard banner that we would put during spring and alternate months, replace some of the old existing. I did touch base with Wayne Myers. We will have to purchase hardware because we are going with the veteran size banner. So there is some cost that's going to be added additional to it. So once I get those quotes and designs, I'll present it so that we all have an idea what we're looking at. Next would be, it's a reminder, 4th of July is coming up this weekend. So happy early 4th of July to everyone. So I'm sure some have seen on the residence page, we had an incident, I think it was Saturday, about 4 a.m. where someone in the direction of where the skate park would be lit off fireworks at 4 a.m. and then proceeded to light off more fireworks at 4:35 a.m. Just a reminder, it's strictly prohibited within town limits, and be courteous to your neighbors. 4 a.m. and 4:35 a.m. was a little wake up call for most of us. So let's just be mindful of that. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Just for future, Terry, the hardware is about $50, I think. The banners the military banners are about $100 each, and it's just about 50-50 on the cost. So just to keep that in mind. So just for your own reference.
Thank you.
All right. Public Works, Councilman Hoffman.
Good evening, everyone. The Public Works crew has been very busy. They've done a lot of mowing around the town facilities, the town parks, the town farm, and the stream buffers. They had replaced a sign at Slingoff Lane with the new SHA approved sign. They're collaborating with Master Deputy Calusi, who is providing a list of signs that need replaced around town. The Public Works provided me a status update of all the town's equipment and vehicles. Put on our radar, we're going to need to have some future discussion on some repairs and replacements of some of our vehicles in town. So that'll be in the future coming up. They have been working on tree trimming. Again, they've been working with Master Deputy Calusi, who's been providing them a list of several areas where the limbs needed to be trimmed away from the signs. So we want to make sure that not only can people see our road signs, but they see the motor signs, the stop signs as well. And the Public Works asked me to make a special thanks to Councilman Pellsgrove and the Brethren Center, who have allowed them to use their high lift for several of the projects that they have been working on down at our wastewater treatment facility. I'm sure that Councilman Pellsgrove may talk about some of these during his report. And lastly, the Planning Commission did not meet in the month of June. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Water and Sewer, Councilman Pellsgrove.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Wayne Myers for writing up and printing an excellent Public Works report. Gary, that was not sent to the rest of the council, was it?
No, I don't believe so. I believe he sends that to you directly.
Okay. If there's no objection, I think I'll go ahead and forward this to the rest of the council and the mayor, because he reports this much better than I can. But
fine.
anyway, I'll highlight several of the things that he put on here. I did meet with Wayne Myers at the wastewater treatment plant almost 2 weeks ago on June 18th. He summoned me down there to share with me some of the issues that they're dealing with down at the wastewater treatment plant. And the bottom line is multiple failures of several very essential components of the wastewater treatment plant. And so this is a reminder that the plant is not new anymore, and that we are going to have some of these ongoing issues. One of the things, there's two major things that Wayne is working on. One is to obtain some spare parts to have on hand. One of the issues most recently was the failure of 3 of the 6 mixer motors. In the 2 SBR tanks, there's 3 mixer motors and in each tank, so a total of 6, and 3 of them had been down at one time. So when I met with him, he had gotten 2 of them repaired. They were still waiting on 1 more. There's also a failure of a VF variable frequency drive. This is one of the controllers for one of the motors, and also limit switches. There's a failure of a cooling fan in one of the control panels. What else? There's a bad rack on the UV system. So this is just to keep it in front of us that there's multiple issues to deal with at the wastewater treatment plant. Also, during a power failure at the Blue Ridge pump station, the emergency, that one actually doesn't use a generator. It's used what's called a pony motor, but the motor did not run. And so we needed to call out Fogels to do an emergency pump out. The Blue Ridge wastewater pump station is the oldest one now in our system. Excuse me. And I think it's been mentioned before that really needs to be on our radar to look at some upgrades or total replacement of that pump station sometime sooner rather than later. One of the other issues that Wayne is working on is trying to find another vendor or contractor that can work with us in regards to some of these maintenance issues on the wastewater treatment plant. The current contractor that we're using, there's been some issues in regards to not being available or not being able to provide the parts in a timely manner. So Wayne's got a line on a couple of other issues that or a couple of other companies that he's going to be checking into to see if they might be able to help us out. Also, to share with you that a flyer was sent out to the residents of the Atlee Ridge development regarding the problems that we've been having with grease and other inappropriate materials being introduced into the wastewater system. As you recall, last month we talked about an emergency pipe jetter that we had to do. And we've had numerous of those over the last several years in the Atlee Ridge development. So that flyer was prepared and sent out to the residents of Atlee Ridge. And hopefully we'll see some improvements in that area. That's probably enough for now. There are several other items on this list, but I will forward this list to the rest of the council and the mayor. And you can see everything that's going on in regards to water and wastewater issues.
Thank you, sir. Economic development. Oh, I'm sorry. Public safety, Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what Councilman Green said about the fireworks. I did read the same complaint as well early in the morning. Keep in mind, fireworks are illegal. They're not allowed in town, but they're illegal in the state of Maryland. I know 4th of July is coming up, and I don't want to be the person who's saying, don't celebrate the 4th of July. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, be courteous, be careful. Don't make harder work for anybody else. That's the law enforcement, fire department, medical staff from accidents that happen. They have accidents every year with these things. Keep your loved ones safe. There's a proper time and place to celebrate everything. And I just want to remind everybody that fireworks are not only illegal, they are extremely dangerous, and they can cause a lot of problems for a lot of people. Also, recent data has showed that, especially our military folks, and if there's a group of people that should be respected on holidays such as the 4th of July, our military people certainly should. And there are incidents and cases of military folks having some stress issues, some the post-traumatic stress syndrome, and some anxiety over the sounds of these explosions of fireworks. So keep that in mind. Until you walk a mile in somebody's shoes, you just don't know. I just wanted to remind people of that. Along with the celebrations on 4th of July, you tend to see increased traffic. I would suspect that it's probably going to be that way this year because of all of the closures and things are opening up now, and people are anxious to get out of the house. Watch your speeds. If you're out enjoying yourselves and you're having some adult beverages, don't drive. Just common sense things like that. It's going to keep you safe. It's going to keep the community safe. It's going to keep your family safe. And it's going to make our public safety people's job a lot easier, and our medical people who have already been pushed to the limit with this COVID-19. It'll help keep them safe and not just overburdened with accidents. So watch your speed. Don't drink and drive. The other thing I'd like to mention is I'm proud that we live in a county where we have seen some civil unrest throughout the nation and the state, and our county continues to have civil protests done the right way, I believe, within our Constitution, within our rights as citizens to protest. We have not seen the violence that we see other places, so people are doing it the proper way. You have to respect that. You don't necessarily have to agree with people. This whole protest, I believe, is an opportunity to open dialogue when it's done the proper way. I read an article today that some of the folks over in the Manchester area that are protesting the proper way and in a respectful way are being harassed, and I find that sad. And I'm proud of our community that we don't see that here. I've seen the signs up. Some I agree with, some I don't agree with, but they're being done in a respectful way, and I'm proud to live in a community that has embraced that. With that being said, the 4th of July celebration is coming up. There's been some reports that there may be some activities up in Gettysburg, and while I'll keep that private as to how I feel, I think there are times and places for everything. A national cemetery is not one of those places, I don't believe. But I am proud that we live in Carroll County, and I've seen nothing but protests being done within a lawful way, within a constitutional way, and within a respectful way. And I hope that whoever is harassing the folks over in Manchester really think about what they're doing. And if there's a time that you should realize that it is the 4th of July. 4th of July is about freedom. Part of that freedom is the freedom to assemble, the freedom to protest, and your freedom to disagree with that protest, but in a respectful way. And I hope the people over Manchester get that message. With that, I will say, God bless America. Happy 4th of July, and everybody stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Economic Development, Councilwoman Schultz.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to call folks' attention to a couple of things that, well, one thing that the mayor already posted on the town Facebook page. The Carroll County Economic Development Office is offering a grant program called Carroll Rebound. And if you're a business, you can get up to $2,500. If you are a not-for-profit organization, you can get up to $5,000. And it's specifically for recovery efforts related to the pandemic. The application deadline is the 15th of July. So there's a couple of weeks left. And you can go on the Facebook page for the town and find the mayor's post, or you can go to carrollbiz.org and you'll be able to find the information there. I had already sent that information directly to a few of the businesses, and some of them indicated that they're going to apply. So if other organizations in the town are interested, take advantage of that while you can. While we're saying that, just again, a reminder, support our local businesses. We have 4 eateries here in town. Frankie's has outside eating. Of course, Bellissimo is takeout, and so isn't Lone Star. I have not seen whether or not he's open this weekend. He isn't open every weekend. Uncle Mattie's is closed from the 2nd to the 8th, and Seasons at Magnolia is available for special events. Of course, we have some other small businesses in town, so let's keep them all in mind when we're shopping or looking for a service. The Carroll County Downtown's Economic Group is not meeting, but we were sent an email. I'm going to post this on Facebook that Sykesville is sponsoring a free webinar called Grow with Google that is focusing on small businesses recovering from the pandemic. And that happens to also be on July 15th at 1. So I'll go ahead and post that on the town Facebook page. I just wanted to do a little shout out to Deputy Calusi. He stopped by and visited with me, and we had a nice chat, and I gave me a couple of good ideas, and I'll be sharing with those with all of you at the next work session. That's all I have.
I don't think that's all you have.
What did I forget, Mr. Mayor?
Year of the Woman.
Well, yeah, it's the Year of the Woman. Maybe I'm gonna like blow my own horn or something. Is that?
Congratulations on being selected to represent
I was selected.
Windsor.
Yeah, I was selected. The Carroll County Times does a special publication every summer, and this year they decided to do the Year of the Woman theme, and they selected women from every Carroll County community, and I was very honored to be selected to represent New Windsor. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Community Deputy. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. The Sheriff's Office, between the dates of June 1st to June 30th, responded to 63 calls for service within the town limits. Out of those calls for service, only 5 required reports, which were the following. On June 4th at approximately 10:21 a.m., deputies responded to the 2800 block of Union Square in reference to a suspicious condition. Homeowner reported that their residence was being hacked and broken into on a regular basis. No signs of forced entry were observed. Deputies were unable to locate any hacking devices within the residence as well. Case was closed. On June 9th, at approximately 2:26 p.m., deputies responded to the 300 block of High Street in reference to a subject in cardiac arrest. Medics were unable to revive the patient, who was eventually pronounced deceased. No signs of foul play were observed. The case was closed. On June 12th, at approximately 7:03 p.m., deputies responded to the 300 block of Lambert Avenue in reference to a domestic in progress. Investigation revealed that family members got into a physical altercation over a video game. Marks were reserved on the victim, which resulted in the arrest of the other party. The case was closed by arrest. On June 23rd, at approximately 10:20 a.m., deputies conducted a traffic stop on a commercial truck for a DOT inspection in the 1000 block of Green Valley Road. While completing the inspection, suspicious behavior was observed, which led to a canine scan of the vehicle for drugs. The canine did alert to the vehicle. However, no drugs were located within the vehicle after a search was completed. The case was closed. On June 25th, at approximately 7:27 a.m., deputies responded to the 100 block of Main Street in reference to a violation of a protective order. Upon arrival, it was determined that a violation did occur when the respondent did attempt to contact a petitioner approximately 5 times by phone. The respondent was later located and taken into custody for the violation of the court order. The case was closed by arrest. Other notes: the southern end of the county in Westminster City are seeing an increased number of calls for service for thefts from vehicles. Please make sure you're locking your vehicles and keeping personal items out of sight. Just one other thing, the sheriff's office is also seeing a high number of calls for service at our local quarries. Please do not just walk around the posted signs saying no trespassing, but heed its warning, as this is the only warning you will receive. Subjects caught on the quarry properties will be charged accordingly. The only other last thing, I did meet with the town attorney, Michelle, in reference to the getting back on track with the nuisance ordinance. We have deemed 3 properties in town as a disorderly house nuisance, and we will be proceeding with that in the very near future. Other than that, that's all I got.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I don't think anybody from West Carroll Rec Council is here. Fire Chief report. There we are. Calls for the month: 21 fire calls in June, 41 EMS calls. Year to date, 131 fire calls, 269 EMS calls. And Barn Chief Welker wants to thank everyone who supported their pit beef, turkey, and ham fundraisers. The support has been amazing. They've sold out 2 different times. This month they will have a crab cake platter sale on 7/18. Check the website for details. Town manager.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I wanted to give an update on the Blue Ridge College Avenue Road project. There was some last minute changes, actually about 1 o'clock today, with some information that I received from the contractor ECM. So I'm going to kind of make some ad lib a little here. The information in my report is accurate in terms of the numbers, but I'll vary from that a little bit based on the information I received late today. We sent a letter to ECM with basically a final payment amount of where we are in meeting Neal and Michelle and I. And we wanted to get signature and acceptance by ECM on those amounts. I believe they're okay with the numbers. Where they vary a little bit is in the retainage portion of it. All projects, you typically hold 10% retainage until the end. And then the standard way of doing it at the end is to release the money and then have the contractor submit a legal document of a maintenance bond for the amount of 10% to be held for a year from substantial completion. We did determine and agree that substantial completion was March 31st of 2020. So that would be a year from that date, which would put it March 31st of 21 is when that retainage would be due. What I had proposed that based on the issues that we've had with ECM is that instead of them doing a maintenance bond for the amount of money, is we just hold the 10%, which equates to $93,000, a little over $93,000. Where things vary a little bit is they're requesting that we only hold 5%. So I'll get into that a little bit more after I run through this, some summaries of the numbers. ECM ended up $161,000 over budget, which is 20%. However, if you take into account the approximately $85,000 of additional work that the town requested to enhance the project and make it for a better project for the residents of Blue Ridge and College, that overage drops to $76,000, which equates to 8.2% over budget, which in a project that size, really either of those numbers is not outrageous. And when you consider the additional work we did request and it coming in at 8.2, it's actually very reasonable. We also, some information, we have approval from the State Department of Housing and Community Development. That's the folks that gave us the grant on the project to begin with. We can apply for an additional $75,000 to go to help cover the overage of the project, the overage cost, and we can do that and at pretty much at any point, and it'll get pushed through right away. And our communications with the state folks, they've been very generous and very helpful and accommodating. We still have to do installation of the safety fence along the top of the retaining wall in front of 301 through 307 College Avenue, and then also finish the end wall treatment of that retaining wall at the corner of College and Green Valley Road. The town manager has been meeting with several fence contractors and retaining wall contractors and to request quotes to do this work. I'm waiting on one more retaining wall quote before we compare everything and make a recommendation for which companies we want to use for that. We, again, back to the state Department of Housing and Community Development, they've also given us approval to apply for another $75,000 grant to cover the cost of the wall, the end wall treatment, and the safety fence. They've also said that we can use any remaining money of that $75,000 left over to apply towards any of the overage costs. So again, they've been very, very cooperative and very helpful. So I have a spreadsheet that I'm putting together with those costs, and I'll share that at the work session, because by then I should have all the costs in for sure on that. But depending on which contractors we choose, there'll be between $25,000 and $50,000 remaining that can be put towards that. So that all is looking pretty good in terms of the numbers there. So getting back to the retainage, I respond, like I said, I got this information at 1 o'clock today as I was trying to follow up, and as I've done, Neal will attest, and he's been copied on a lot of the emails many, many times with ECM to try to wrap this thing up. Information that they sent was requesting that we hold only 5%, which basically it's $46,555. And I said, well, my inclination, again, based on the issues that we've had with ECM, is to hold the 10% and don't do a bond. Not that they're asking for us to do a bond. Michelle can probably chime in that in the event that we would need to go after a bond, it's not the easiest thing to do, and we'd be paying attorney fees to do that part. So I basically emailed the contractor back and told him that, and I said, but honestly, it's really not my decision, my final decision to make. It's the mayor and council's decision, I believe. So I know this is kind of last minute information to you, but it was something that I received today, roughly about 1 o'clock. So I wanted to get your opinions, I guess, and input on what to do with the retainage.
Personally, I think the 10%, we stick with it.
Yeah, I would also agree with the mayor and on that. I think we stick with the 10%. I mean, we've had a lot of complications with this project. That was, you know, ECM had a lot of issues. So I think we stick with that.
Gary,
Absolutely.
wasn't that spelled out in the original contract and agreement?
I did take a quick look at the contract documents, and again, it was late in the day. I didn't get a chance to thoroughly review that, and I didn't find specific language in the document. I did not get a chance to look at the agreement, and there may be verbiage in there to that effect. But I know Michelle reviewed some stuff a while back, and I don't know if she recalled anything on that specifically. That's certainly something I can look at when I get back into the office next week.
No, what my focus was more on the difference between the specs amounts and whose obligations were what, comparing the engineer and the actual contractor. As a rule, Gary has stated my objections very clearly. I would always rather have cash in hand than a bond. We can find out if there's an express amount of the retainage fairly easily. Then I think that's something that would leap out at us. But my suspicion is if it's written down, it's probably 10%.
There is something I found in the contract documents, and a quick check today. The contractor at a certain time can request a reduction of retainage to 5%, but that basically, from my recollection, and I'll check it again, it basically has to get approved by the engineer, which is, they're pretty much out of the equation at this point, and it has to be ultimately approved by the town. So I think it's our call, honestly. I mean, I think we all want to get this thing wrapped up. No one does more than I do, and probably maybe besides the residents of College.
Well, if they want to wrap it up fast, that's the way to do it. Hold back their 10% and watch how fast they'll wrap it up. I'm 100% with the mayor on this one. We hold them to the 10%. Just that simple. I mean, if everything was if everything went perfectly and smoothly and we didn't have these issues, maybe we could consider that. But given the history of this, I say we hold the 10%.
Kim, what's your thoughts?
I agree, 100%. There's been a lot of aggravation with this project, and they haven't been cooperative. I'm not inclined to give anything at this point.
I think we're all on the same page. I think Ed, Councilman Smith hit the nail on the head. If things were different, if the project went smoother, we didn't have the issues that we had, then we might be more inclined to only hold 5%. But that certainly wasn't the case, and I think hopefully that will get their attention and get it wrapped up. The only thing in the letter that was part of the agreement to settle everything basically was I did require them to install 2 signs and paint a curb. Now the approved plans called for the installation of 3 signs, 1 on Blue Ridge and 2 on College. But on College, we've already talked about that. We're going to do 1 sign with the no parking from here to corner, and then have them paint that vertical part of that curb yellow like they did on the other side near the fire hydrant. So that was my really only caveat or contingent, so to speak, in that letter. So he didn't mention anything about that in the email, and I think it's a minor thing that they should do without hesitation. But so I think you all in agreement then with the 10%?
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, we're not doing this because of any reason other than it's normal practice, but it's kind of ironic how they drug their feet on submitting invoices to get paid. And here, they're now they want their money right away. So, until they get the things done, I wouldn't even budge on the 10%.
Very good. I have direction.
Thank you.
And like I said, I will have should have the finalized information on the fence, the safety fence and the end wall at the work session, and look at that information. So we'll talk about that later this month. So also on my report, I apologize. It's I got several things to talk about. The PIA request form, this was discussed at the June 15th work session. We made some minor changes to the request form, and we decided to keep the price per copy charge at 25 cents. The town manager developed a time card to be used for working on PIA requests. And now the standard procedure will be for the staff to use the timesheet whenever we get a request and at the beginning of that request. That way they can track their time from the beginning. And then when the request is completed, I'll review the amount of time and make a decision as to whether we bill the person requesting for the employee's time or not. So I think that's a process that we should just put into place, and it's documented, and that's just how we'll handle things moving forward. The PIA request form is now or will soon be posted on the town website, I believe under the documents section. So any questions on that?
Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.
Donna and everybody, and Michelle, everybody who worked on that.
Okay, continuing on, a little note on Public Works to expand on Councilman Hoffman's comment during his report about upgrades to the town vehicles. Director Wayne Myers has started the process and paperwork of purchasing a new pickup truck for Public Works. The purchase of the new pickup truck has been planned and budgeted at $60,000 in the 6-year capital budget general plan for the last couple years, and it's come due this in fiscal year 21 to replace. The new truck will replace the 2013 Chevy 2500 pickup as the main daily use Public Works vehicle. The Chevy has a lot of rust and some other mechanical issues, and it's time to replace it with a new truck. Public Works will continue to use the 2013 Chevy, as well as they've been using, we have a 2008 Dodge Dakota, a smaller one. They've been using that a lot more lately. The new pickup will most likely have to be ordered because the local inventory is depleted, and with the COVID and companies being laid off and stopped production and things like that. Finding a truck in the inventory of a local dealer set up with what Public Works needs is going to be difficult. The new truck will come with a V snow plow and salt box, among other things. By continuing to use the Chevy, which also has a plow and a salt box, Public Works can use 3 town trucks to plow snow, and will not need to use Dave Valentine's truck at contractors' rates. We used his a little bit in the past, his vehicle and plow. So depending on the storm event, we can bring Dave in as an employee if need be, but we'll have 3 town vehicles plow snow and take care of that. So that should help a lot and expedite that process in winter time. We did reach out to Mike Myers. He's the Bureau Chief of Purchasing at Carroll County, and we can piggyback on their contracts. They have contracts locally with various dealers, and also up to the state level as well. So I emailed Mike. I knew Mike from my days at the county, and copied Wayne, no relation, I believe. So those two have been in contact, and Wayne sent the specs to Mike as to what they're looking for. And so basically that process has started. So just wanted to give you an update on that. So any questions there? Moving on, the lagoon filling project. This project's going well. You may have noticed a stoppage in work for about 2 weeks. This was because the contractor, HTI, who is doing the construction of the new stormwater facility in Westminster, had to perform utility work. So for about 2 weeks, we were not receiving dirt, but that hauling resumed on Monday, June 29th, and they've moved approximately 25,000 cubic yards so far. It's been, as you know, it's been materials being hauled by train from Westminster to New Windsor, and Stanballs Incorporated is handling the hauling, filling, unloading, and the compaction of the material at the lagoon. So that project's moving well. Anything on that? Any questions on that? Then lastly, in my report, the 2020 census update. The date to complete and respond to the 2020 census has been extended to October 31st, 2020 due to the COVID crisis. Carroll County's response rate as a whole and for the county is 77.4% as of June 28th, which is tops in the state of Maryland and 27th in the United States. Carroll County has 3 census tracts that lag behind others, and New Windsor, of the 8 municipalities in Carroll County, has the lowest response rate, and we're in last place. So just a shout out to, that there's time and opportunity for New Windsor residents to take the census and increase the town's response rates. There were some announcements that I got from the lady that was hired by the county to basically, run the census on a grant project, and she gave some information from the U.S. Census about their additional efforts that they're going to make with the extension of the deadline. The first was that which is very important for our municipality as well as many other municipalities. They're going to be sending postcards. This is the U.S. Census Bureau is going to be sending postcards between June 24th and July 3rd to an estimated 1.3 million post office boxes in communities where P.O. boxes are the only mailing address available. This was an issue from day one when we started talking this, not only in our municipality, but a lot of other municipalities, not all of them, have a high amount of people that have P.O. boxes. And all along they were saying they're not going to send the information to a P.O. box. Well, now apparently they are. So that's good news. The postcard alert will alert households that a census taker may be dropping off census invitations soon or will visit later to interview them. The postcards also provide information on how to respond to the 2020 census online or by phone. Households are encouraged to respond to the census as soon as they receive their invitation packets. Important here is households that receive mail in P.O. boxes should provide their street address when they complete the census, not where they want their physical location, not where they receive mail. So you want to use your street address when you do fill that out if you have a P.O. box. Also, the U.S. Census Bureau announced this week that it will send an additional reminder postcard to households that have not responded yet. The postcard is scheduled to arrive between July 22nd and July 28th, a few weeks before census takers are set to begin visiting most households that haven't responded. And then lastly, there will be a non-response follow-up towards the end of the census timeframe, August 11th, and conclude no later than the last date of August 31st. All the census takers will be trained on social distancing protocols, and they will be issued personal protective equipment and follow local guidelines for their use. So just another mention, I know Neal had mentioned in his report, I believe last time, about the census, and we need to keep just reminding and reiterating the importance of filling that out. So that's all I have for my report.
2 things to follow up on, Gary. One, I know people have asked about the census. Does that give us more revenue for our budget? It really doesn't. It's not going to increase our property tax or income tax or anything. However, at 58%, that's only about half, a little over half of our population. Now, the current situation in Washington is that I feel they're going to address a HEROES Act bill that will possibly fund municipalities and counties and states. The preliminary numbers were like 400 some thousand for this year. Now that's, not in stone by any means. That was just a preliminary number that came out of the House, and it has to be worked over in the Senate. However, they're using numbers, population numbers from 2010. And if that was the percentage in 2010, we may be shortchanging ourselves. So I just want to stress the importance of taking the census, filling it out. It only takes a few minutes. It's a very easy process. 5 minutes and you're done. And if we can get up into the 90%, I really feel that when there's grants like this, we would benefit from it tremendously. So it is extremely important for everyone to get the message, to fill out the census. Again, 5 minutes of your time could mean a lot of money for the town of New Windsor, that we could do a lot of other things that we can't and don't have to pass it on to the taxpayer. The other issue is with the College Avenue and Blue Ridge Avenue. That was a dream of mine many, many years ago, it seems like now. It took 3 years of applications to get the final project approved. But I want to thank the council past and present that has been supportive of that. Also, former town manager Frank Schaefer, and now current town manager Gary Dye, and circuit rider Mike Reynolds. Michelle has put her efforts into this project, as well as Donna, and the amount of emails that have been back and forth are just tremendous through this whole project. And I just want to thank all of you that had anything to do with this. I mean, the project really looks nice. It's going to last, I'm hoping 50 years or more. We have a new upgraded water line, and it's a beautiful street. And hopefully we can do that to some other streets once we get the stress level back down. But I want to thank everybody that's been working on this. Wayne's stepped in a little bit towards the end, so I want to thank him as well. But this is what everybody works towards: upgrading our infrastructure and making the homes and the streets look a lot better. So thank you again for all your efforts. Treasurer's report. Donna?
Good evening, everyone. As of 6:30, I wanted to give the following budget highlights. Under the general fund, our revenues, number one, the final local income tax payment is in, and the yearly total is $186,122. Now, the tax base and growth projects of this category are difficult to project, and given all the variables involved, such as employment data, individual earnings, and so forth, that looks really good this year. The highway user revenue funding source is a local share of the state tax, gas, and vehicle titling. And we had budgeted that at $77,800 for fiscal year 20. However, because of the pandemic situation, the statewide totals were revised by the state and the town was notified. So New Windsor's FY20 revised estimate was reduced to $66,805. I will provide you with the final total we received at the August town meeting, because obviously we don't have June in yet. The real property tax is our primary local government revenue in Maryland, and the town has received $410,736 through May. The amount budgeted was $392,000. The increase can be attributed to the new housing in New Windsor, and the final total will also be revealed at the August Town Council meeting. Impact fees and administrative fees are both related to all the new residential development. The fees can be used to benefit the existing and future town residents resulting from the new development for which the fees are paid. The totals received for FY20 were $9,000 and $4,000 respectively, and this is an increase over 6,500 and 3,000 in the approved FY20 budget, respectively. On the general fund expenditures, I just wanted to point out about the College for Blue Ridge project, which is the hot topic tonight. The grant money has all been reimbursed to the town, except for the additional 75. And the total amount of the grant and the balance of the project will be paid with town operating funds, as the town manager referred to that total in his report tonight. On the enterprise side, the water hookup fees for FY20 budget were shown as $137,000, but because of the development growth, the total collected was $182,000. Sewer hookup fees for FY20 budget were at $111,000, and also because of the development growth, the total for FY20 was $147,920,000. The highlight, I believe, on the enterprise side was under the water emergency repair budget for FY20 was at $20,000, and due to the large water leak repair at Main Street and Blue Ridge Avenue, the cost for that alone was over $68,000. So that situation is something that we can expect with an aging infrastructure. So all in all, the town of New Windsor should show operationally that things are good, and the annual audit will be set to get underway soon. Any questions on that portion? On the real property, we have 12 properties for sale, 6 of which are in the new Snyder's Summit development. And on the water sewer, as of 6:30, there were no additional special payment requests initiated by the residents, but the total outstanding in water sewer bills is still $26,604.10. So the next billing will carry those totals over as a past due balance on the resident's bill. And we may see an increase in special payment arrangements after those new bills go out, which should be by the first full week in July. And the clerk treasurer will continue to give monthly updates on that situation. As a reminder, the water sewer rates are set to change effective July 1st, 2020, and the residents will see this change on their October 2020 billing. Water base rate will be $133 with a usage rate of $4.10 per 1,000 gallons. And the sewer base rate will be $115 with a usage rate of $8.37 per 1,000 gallons. And that's my report.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Lehigh report, no one. Any old business? New business? Let's see if I can pull up that report. There we are. Town hall opening to public.
Okay, guess I'm up again. This was discussed again in general at the June 15th work session. We made a decision, talked with staff and mayor, we made a decision to open town hall to public beginning Monday, July 6th, and we'll be resuming the normal business hours Monday through Friday, 9 to 3. The town will be, office will be following CDC guidelines. When visiting town hall, face covering is required. There's arrows, flow arrows, and distance spacing on the floor, so please follow those. There'll also be some signage as you get up to the walk-up window at the front of Clena's office. If another resident is already at the walk-up window, please wait at the sign and striping on the floor until the staff calls you to the window. Just again to maintain the distancing. There is a large container of hand sanitizer that'll be available at a table just inside the front door. Meetings with staff will be by appointment only. And if it's common sense stuff, but everybody keeps repeating, and I will as well. If you're not feeling well, please stay at home. The safety of the staff and residents is of the utmost importance. So just a summary, opening town hall to the public can work, I believe. We all do our report or our part, respect and obey the regulations and be considerate of others. If the rules and regulations are not followed and or problems arise, we'll have to reevaluate and we may have to close town hall again to the public. So I think it's very doable. We don't typically get a lot of people in town hall at once. So I don't think in being in the new building, I think it's very doable. Just I hope everyone can be courteous and follow the rules on that.
All right, town council work session and planning commission meetings.
So carrying along that thought, the council work session planning commission meetings will continue to be virtual Zoom meetings, at least for a little while. As a transition, we could possibly have staff gather at town hall in the meeting room and continue to have residents use Zoom. This will, however, require that the staff have a laptop or a tablet with them at town hall so that they can log into Zoom, and then the residents that are logged in can see who all is talking and speaking and things like that. We're getting some prices and trying to order tablets for the mayor and council. That was part of the CARES Act money that Neal mentioned earlier. There was some money that was earmarked for that specific purpose. So we're working with Info Pathways to get some prices on that. Not sure how soon that's going to happen. I'm not sure the availability of tablets. They've been in high demand, and I'm not sure what the availability will be. Another option, I guess, is to hold the town meetings in the public meeting room and limit the public attendance to the number of chairs available while still maintaining 6 feet of separation, which that basically equates. We've done the layout a couple of times, and there's just about 15 chairs is the maximum you can get, and still keep things spaced apart. This would kind of be equivalent to every building, including our meeting room, has a maximum occupancy load or number for the room, and that's set by county permits and inspections. So this would be like a reduced maximum occupancy due to situational circumstances, which is the COVID-19 restrictions. So just some options to think about. I think it's a little more difficult to do the meetings because of the spacing and the potential for hopefully lots of residents wanting to come and attend the meetings. So that's it on that.
And I'm working with Aaron at CMC, and I don't know if any of the CMC staff on here tonight want to address it, but Aaron and CMC is looking at how they could put a camera in, stationary camera, operate it so that it could also be coordinated with the Zoom meeting. That's still to be seen. So I told him that our next meeting, if we were to decide to have a meeting at Town Hall, it would be on the 20th. So he's aware of that time frame.
Mr. Mayor, can I go back to discussion or the topic about providing, I guess it was tablets for mayor and council? I guess this was specifically to be used if we're going to hold meetings in Town Hall. I remember we had a discussion about this, I don't know, 6 months or a year ago, about whether or not council and our mayors needed tablets or laptops or whatever. And I just want to go on record that I'm glad to use my personal equipment for this. I really don't need another device in my life. I've got 3 of them sitting right here, and there's 1 or 2 more sitting in the other rooms of this house. And
well taken. But the one thing that in discussions with Gary, we and Donna, we've also talked about that these would be 100% and only for town usage. That way you could have all the files, all the documents on one computer. So that to me was an advantage, but I understand your point as well.
But we're going to do this anyway. Is that what I understand?
I'm not going to force anybody to it, but you know, if for whatever reason, you know, somebody wanted information off of your computer or something, it's all town related. I think that's an advantage that way. But Gary, I don't think Gary or I are going to force anybody to use strictly a town computer, though. But we did get funding for it.
Okay, well, I'll leave it where it sits. But as I said, I've got plenty of devices. I'm glad to use my own.
Very good. Thank you. And renewal of the Circuit Rider Resolution Memorandum of Agreement and Insurances Agreement.
Okay, this is our last thing on our under new business. The state-funded Circuit Rider program, it's normally good for 2 years before we have to renew. And we renewed the agreement and the documents in June of 2019. However, due to the funding shortage last year with the state, the term was reduced to 1 year, and the State Department of Housing and Community Development has requested new documents for FY21 to cover the basically fiscal year 21, July 1st, which is today, 2020, to June 30th, 2021. Even though nothing has changed in the agreement or other documents, including the annual fee to the town of $750. So it's kind of a formality. It seems kind of senseless, but that's what the state wants, and it's just a matter of filling out some forms. So there's 3 documents that need your attention. First of which is a resolution. I would imagine it would be today's date of
07-01-2020.
2020, and that requires the mayor and council's signature, and then Donna's witness at the end. And then the second document is a memorandum of agreement, which requires the mayor's signature and also Chris Benzing, who is the director of MRDC. It requires those 2 signatures. And then the last document is what is referred to as a circuit rider assurance agreement, which requires mayor's signature and Donna's witness. So they're basically 2-page documents each. Most important of which is what you see there is the resolution to continue with the Circuit Rider program for fiscal year 21. Mike Reynolds is signed in. I believe I saw him signed in to the meeting and is available to answer any questions if anyone has any. And the council, please make arrangements to stop by town hall and sign your signature line on the resolution.
Just to give everybody a little history lesson on this, probably, I guess it's 3 years ago now, Frank Schaefer and I went to a meeting. We had received notice from the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development about the Circuit Rider program. And at that time, we were thinking, you know, this would be a great opportunity to get another employee for very little expense. And while we were there, we heard Chris Benzing talk about having, I think, the majority of the municipalities up in Carroll County, and there was another area that he had. And Frank and I looked at one another and said, why don't we go through them? And that way we don't have to do all the paperwork. We don't have to have workers' comp. We don't have to have insurance, and all that is taken care of. And the bottom line is we have a part-time employee for $750. I think it's a great deal. Naturally, there's some materials, supplies, that sort of thing that we provide, Mike, but overall, it's an outstanding program. And I definitely ask you to approve resolution number 07-01-2020. I don't know if Mike wants to say anything about it, about his experience here in New Windsor. He does a tremendous amount of assistance to both Donna and Gary, and oversees our grants and keeps us posted on new grants. Mike, you have the floor if you'd like.
Thanks, Neal. I appreciate it. I'd just like to give my appreciation to having the ability to work with the town. And I mean, the staff that I work with, the town, the residents, and everybody's been very cooperative and very supportive of anything that I'm doing. And I try to do the same on my end. So it's my pleasure to work with and for the town. And hopefully we'll look forward to moving forward with that.
And for those that don't know, we share the circuit rider position with the town of Union Bridge. And sometimes it's 3 days here, 2 days up there, vice versa, depending on everybody's schedule. He may be here all week, but we split it 50-50. So Union Bridge gets the advantage of Mike working for them, and we get the advantage. So do I hear a motion to adopt resolution number 07-01-2020?
I make that motion to adopt resolution 07-01-2020.
I'll second it.
Second that.
That was Terry. Who made the second? I'm sorry.
I think me and Ed did Pellsgrove. So who?
All right.
Me.
We'll get Councilman Green there. All right. We have a motion by Councilman Smith, second by Councilman Green, to adopt resolution number 07-01-2020. All those in favor, raise your hand. I see all 5 council members raising their hand. Anyone opposed? So carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now let's see what we want. We want the, I just had that paper here. Which one do we want next? The memorandum of agreement. Let's see if I can find that.
Yeah, I guess we need a motion for all 3.
Yeah, well, we'll do these. This is a memorandum of agreement. It's pretty cut and dry. It is agreed that by the mayor and town council of New Windsor that staff provided by MRDC will provide professional management services as directed by the town manager. If you want to read all that, but basically it says invoiced annually at a rate of $750. If you want to take a few minutes to read that.
And again, all 3 documents, or at least this document and the resolution, cover fiscal year 21, starting today and ending June 30th of 2021.
I make a motion that we
to
adopt.
approve the memorandum of agreement. Councilman Smith, that was a motion.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Second by Councilman Hoffman.
Thank you. Great job. Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Smith, second by Councilman Hoffman, to approve the memorandum of agreement. All those in favor, raise your hands. Wait a minute, let me get back here. Keep them up. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is unanimous. Those opposed, so carried. Let's see if I can find the last one. Is insurance agreement. And basically, the town of New Windsor hereby agrees that it will comply with the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act as amended to that end, and the equal opportunity officers, different insurances. Anybody wants to take a few minutes to read that?
I make a motion that we adopt the Maryland Assurance of Compliance with DEO, Civil Rights, Drug and Alcohol-Free Workplace, and other requirements.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Councilman Smith, seconded by Councilwoman Schultz, to approve the Maryland Assurance of Compliance with the EEO, Civil Rights, Drug and Alcohol-Free Workplace, and other requirements. Get back here. All those in favor, signify by raising your hand. All 5 council members have raised their hand. Those opposed, so carry. Thank you, everybody. Mike, great to have you for another year.
I appreciate it very much. Thanks to you all.
Thanks, Mike. You do a lot for the town and for the town staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other new business? Any residents' concerns? We'll wait a few minutes here. Seeing none. All right. Announcements. Lions Club raffle, which they usually sell at the carnival. Naturally, they weren't able to this year. And just a little side note, I'm still planning for Music on the Main on Saturday, October 3rd. I feel by September 1st, we're going to know one way or the other. But the bands have all agreed to play, but basically just pencil in. Everybody is aware that, you know, if we have to cancel, that's just the norm right now. But as of right now, we're still going forward. And I don't know what September 1st is going to bring, but and we have to cancel, we have to cancel. But I don't want to wait till the last minute to make a decision. But I do have the bands lined up. They're all ready to go. But the raffle for the Lions Club, which they will give away October 3rd, no matter whether the Music on the Main is happening or not. But just to let you know, they'll have tickets out next week, probably be in as many local businesses as we can get. I'm sure they'll be selling them at 7-Eleven, different places, different opportunities. So to try to support the Lions Club, they support the town in many ways. So try to get some tickets if you can. But first prize, half of beef donated by Snyder Farms, $150 towards processing of that is donated by a friend of New Windsor Lions. Second prize, a whole hog, which Cena and I were fortunate enough to win last year. We still have our freezer full of ham. So if anybody needs a ham, let me know. I got plenty of ham. Bacon, sorry. But $100 towards processing donated by a friend of New Windsor Lions. Third prize, a bushel of crabs donated by a friend of New Windsor Lions. Fourth and fifth prize, a fresh dressed turkey donated by local homestead product. So again, support the Lions Club. This Saturday at noon, there is a motorcycle ride. It's an Uncle Sam motorcycle ride. Commissioner Boucher asked me to participate, but unfortunately I'm going to be out of town Saturday. So I know Councilman Smith has a motorcycle, and if he's not doing anything, he'd more than welcome you to participate in that Saturday at the fire hall, to my understanding, at noon. And then I think also Saturday, the fire department, Ed, will be having Uncle Sam on the fire truck.
I just saw that announcement today, so you know as much as I do.
All right. So if you see a fire truck with Uncle Sam, that's in celebration of July 4th, as Councilman Smith said. This is a time to celebrate our independence, and it has a lot of meaning to a lot of different ways to different people. But you know, I don't know if there's a country that doesn't have problems, but we are facing some at this time. But it's still a great country, and I think it's the greatest country in which we could live in. So let's be proud of that and show it by our flags, or however you want to do it. I'm not telling anybody what they have to do, but if you display the flag, display it proudly. Know the protocol behind it. But everybody have a happy and safe 4th. Any other announcements? And don't forget the crab cake platter that's coming up. What was that? I forget now what he did say. But it'll be on the New Windsor website. I'm sure it'll be posted on the Facebook page as well.
July 18th.
I thought it was, but I didn't want to say that without having it in front of me. But July 18th, crab cake platter at the fire hall. So help support them. You know, their biggest fundraiser did not happen this year, and naturally everybody knows that. So, you know, when you have to buy a $600,000-$700,000 piece of apparatus, that's a lot of fundraising. So please support them. If not, anything else, everybody have a great holiday, make it safe, and we'll see you on the 20th, hopefully in town hall, at least for staff and council. More to come on that. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Raise hand, whatever. Thank you very much. This ends the meeting.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks
Have
all.
a good,
Bye-bye.
safe 4th. Take care.